Okay, now on to the second match of my recent league. We won game one against Blue Red Delver. So we're going to move on to match two, and we're on the play. We don't see Bazaar in hand, so we're going to mulligan this. And still no Bazaar, so we're going to have to ship it again. And we hit. And we'll keep the misstep. That's a hard one. I think we can bottom it. We already have a misstep. We probably don't need a second game one. And we want to be able to pitch. We just want food for the Icarid, basically. Game one, I think all we're really worried about, we probably just want to stop a call and... Okay, our opponent's on a library-based draw. Once again, I always think these are way too slow against Dredge. But we're going to assume that means possibly Mentor. We did see... Oh, okay, we hit a second Bazaar. That's going to be good. And we did see the library out of Blue Red Delver last match, so it's possible it's Delver again. Okay, and we didn't hit particularly well here, so there's a pretty good argument for not giving the Icarid any food. Yep, okay. That's good. So we're not going to give the Icarid any food, so that we have the best possible, because we're going to get the Bloodghast, and that's going to hit the Amalgam, and we can do the Icarid next turn. Okay, cool. Our opponent just scoops. He sees the writing on the wall after the second Bazaar, the bridge, and a couple of creatures. We still don't know what he's on, so we're going to do the standard, bring in Elishnorn. I think I should be cutting a couple of lands and cutting ley lines. I feel like cutting lands might be a little better. We can operate quite comfortably off 12, and maybe just cutting even like Petrified Field lets us have more or less the full combo heart of the deck intact. Much as we might love to keep a hand with Elishnorn to pitch her fairly quickly, we can't. And yep, we get to keep a misstep Bazaar hand again. Okay, an opponent just happens to have the Pyroblast, so that's tough. And this is going to make our double Bazaar hand a little bit awkward, as what we really... Every time we activate Bazaar, we lose a card. So we're kind of priced into actually drawing a card before we Bazaar here, which is not ideal. I guess we could Bazaar and pitch Bridge and Thug, and keep... Okay, this is looking really rough. We need Serenity to get out of this, I think. Our opponent only has one card in hand, so I think this means we probably should have been a bit more patient. And we'll hold a second bazaar just in case our opponent does something like play needle. That way we can pitch the bazaar. Let us keep a relevant card there instead. They're still not really doing much. So we need to keep the City of Brass. And there was an argument to be made for keeping Therapy there over the second bazaar. Okay, so Rest in Peace is obviously going to make this even harder. Rest in Peace is, I feel, pretty brutal for Dredge. Just because, at least against Cage, you can filter through a lot of your library. And you just don't really care, because it's all still there afterwards. Whereas Rest in Peace means that when you start trying to filter through, you're losing... You can risk losing a lot of your gas. And it also makes it a hell of a lot harder to get started and makes you a bit more prone to decking depending on how you draw. So here we can just pitch some Dredges and probably a Narcomoeba. An Narcomoeba is not getting us anywhere in a hurry. It won't buy us the 20 turns, or 19 turns we'd need to clock him once we resolve it, so... And it's not activating bridges with that Rest in Peace in play. Okay, so we have the Serenity now, so now all we need is a land. Our opponent not doing much here, which means very likely their hand is probably a couple of counter spells at a minimum. Which means that Serenity is going to get harder and harder to resolve. We can pitch Elishnorn here. And now we're just filtering really hard, I think, for that second land, which we've found. We should probably pitch the Bazaar instead of the Dredger. Although having the second Bazaar means we'll get to Bazaar and then... Now obviously Magic Online has some weird bug with the triggered ability of City of Brass. I guess it's not a bug, it's just when it adds the trigger to the stack in response to the mana ability, it's quite awkward. I feel we should almost just scoop it up at this point. I think the moment our opponent lands a clock, we're interested in scooping. And I think that should probably do it. I guess we have a couple of turns, maybe? It's still quite a slow clock. So I guess at this point we're probably just going to have to wait to let ourselves get beat to death. I hope we can find Serenity only and be able to resolve it. We've still got, I guess, probably 5 turns really, if Mana Gorge stays the size it is. And I mean, this is wrong. I misread Mana Gorge Hydra. I don't notice that Bloodghast will make it grow. And mistakenly try to race him. Okay, and I think whatever we do from here, we're out of the game. So we're just going to run back the same configuration, I think. No glaring problems with the deck that we were running there. Our opponent just had a lot of hate. Okay, and okay, great. So we managed to get Bazaar in our opener. Once again with a misstep, and we have an Ingature for when our misstep doesn't resolve. The only thing we're missing here is a Dredger. But we should be able to find that fairly quickly with the Bazaar. So whatever our opponent's about to do is going to be bad for us. If they're leading with a Lotus, we're probably... Okay, so Mana Gorge Hydra isn't the worst thing in the world. We're perfectly happy to deal with just a beta. With any luck, we'll be able to overrun him before our opponent actually does anything relevant. Okay, so he's going to Ancestral now, I'm guessing so that he can fight over the misstep. And we just let the A-Call resolve, which I think is... I'm not sure if that's correct given the Mana Gorger Hydra, but once again, as I said, I feel like we can possibly beat him. We didn't find a Dredger, which is actually a real problem though. Okay, and we don't Bazaar in upkeep, which was a mistake, but we get lucky and we hit. And we probably want to find... We wanted to find a Narcomoeba there, and we're now in a bit of a interesting position where we have Misstep. We want to keep Misstep, Nature's Claim, and get Sure in the land, but we can't. And of course our opponent has Rest in Peace, so I think this is pretty much realistically game over from here, especially given how much action that we just ditched with 3 bridges. And how many? 2 of our, I guess like 2, 3, have another 6 real threats. And on top of that, we've gone through a full third of our library, so without having any real presence on board. And it would be very unsurprising if our opponent can't kill us next turn, based on the amount of cards they've got in hand. And we're just going to concede.